Howdy folks, this is Tony here, and in this low quality video that I'm recording in a dark room, I'm going to explain to you what should be done about the Uvalde school shooting. And I am an expert on this topic because I have worked in education and this incident happened in a school. Now, I'm just going to be brutally honest with you to make this short and quick. Stop overcrowding schools. When you overcrowd schools, it makes it like shooting fish in a barrel for a killer. We need to have capacity limits in schools that are not determined by the district, because the district is going to say, oh, pack as many in there because that's more federal funding, because more of them that graduate, that makes our graduation index looks good. Forget all that crap. Have a fireman, have a policeman come through the buildings and measure the square footage of each classroom and measure the average square footage of each desk and use that to determine the maximum capacity of that classroom and of that school building. Once you have those numbers, then you have the firemen saying, if there were a fire or a bomb threat, here's the number that we could safely evacuate. If there were a shooting, here's the number we could safely evacuate. Because here's the thing, when you have an overcrowded environment, it makes it harder to distinguish victim from assailant because they're sort of all blended in together. It's harder, and even if a policeman were to fire his gun at the assailant, he might accidentally hit a student because, oh, they're all just packed in so tightly together. So having capacity limits is very important. Students need space. We care about if our chickens are cage free or free range. We don't care if our kids are cage free. That is very stupid. And so as a result, what we need to do is have capacity limits. If we need to go back to hybrid learning or have sort of a law that says if your city has this much of a population in relation to the square footage of your school, then for that particular district, virtual learning days do count towards the required amount of days that the school needs to be open. Then we need to start looking at that, because packing kids very tightly at this point only endangers them. And so we honestly need to look at that. And no, gun control is not going to help, because if you look at the most violent cities in America, they all have strict gun control. Look at New York City. Look at Chicago. You don't even need a gun to kill someone. I really want people to stop talking about taking guns. Because if you look at that Waukesha incident where that guy, what was his name? Darnell Brooks or something like that. I can't remember exactly his name. He literally took a vehicle and ran over a bunch of old ladies and killed them. You had the knife incident on the London Bridge in England. So there are so many ways to kill a person that don't involve a gun. So we need to stop talking about gun control because it really doesn't help. And here's another important factor. Here are two more important factors before I end this video. Number one, most of the people who are going to tell you to get rid of your guns are protected by men with guns. Is Nancy Pelosi going to practice what she preaches and disarm the Capitol Police? No. Is Joe Biden going to practice what he preaches and get rid of and disarm the Secret Service? No. Is every single politician that tells you to throw away your guns going to have their security detail get rid of their guns? No. So obviously, think about it. Every celebrity, every powerful person that tells you not to have a gun to protect yourself has men with guns surrounding them, protecting them. So we don't want to hear the hypocrisy. It really doesn't make any sense. And then the final point I'm making is that most of these killers look for a gun-free zone because in their sick, depraved, twisted, reprobate mind, when they look at a gun-free zone sign, they see open season. That's literally how they read that sign. So these are the practical solutions. We need to make our schools so occupied in such a way that it's not easy to pick off a whole bunch of kids at once. And when it comes to arming teachers, that one's a little bit questionable because, again, we run into the same problems that we do of having a cop with a gun in there. And that's, even if you're trained properly, they're so close together, packed so tightly together, you might hit the wrong person. So the best solution, I believe, is to have strict, unbreaking, unwavering capacity limits in school buildings. That will make rescue operations safer. That'll make it easier to spot suspicious activity, and it'll improve the quality of education if that can still be done in this country. Anyway, these are my opinions. Please let me know what you think.